Courtesy of Dunkin' Donuts, I'm not looking at anybody in particular. Or the back row over there, there are donuts available from Dunkin' Donuts, front row, middle row, up here, everybody. All right, I can't eat a dozen. I could eat maybe half a dozen, but so there's at least 6 left, all right? All right, let's dive in. We've got the Board of Works minutes from February 15th. Also, let the minutes reflect Board Member Clemens is absent. Any action today will require 2 votes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. All right, welcome to all our visitors. Councilman Frush, any other councilmen, elected officials in here? All right. And department heads, thank you. So, no unfinished business. Let's just dive right into new business. Jason, you're here, and Paula, you want to come up and talk a little bit about the St. Patrick's Day festival that's coming up this month that you're requesting the street closure for?
Hello. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason Brown from 110 Craft Meadery here downtown. This is going on our 4th annual St. Patrick's Day event downtown. Over the course of the years, we've had some ups and downs, almost exclusively based on weather. You know, March 16th every year is a very questionable weather day. But the first year we had wonderful attendance. We had a wonderful downtown response. Second year the weather kind of killed us a little bit and it tapered off a little bit. The third year, again, it was cold as all get out. And so we haven't given up fighting the weather in downtown Warsaw on the 16th. But what we're looking to do is we're looking to shut the street down sometime in the early morning so that we can get a 30 by 60 tent set up between, which would be Center Street and Main Street, right there on Buffalo Street, right out in front of my business. And there will be alcohol served. We have 3 different vendors involved. We have myself, which is 110, and then we have Ortho City Brewery, which is a new local brewery just on the outskirts of town. And then we have Mad Anthony's involved as well. Both of them are going to be serving beer, and then we are looking to serve the liquor side. And then Ortho City is also bringing their food department with them as well. They're going to be a food vendor as well. And then BMAX is going to be another food vendor, and then we will be a food vendor as well. So we're trying to get downtown involved, trying to get as many downtown vendors to be involved in this as we can. Initially when we started it, it was just 110 kind of trying to do our thing. But at the end of the day, it really is a community-based thing that we're looking to try to get people to come downtown to appreciate what we can do.
Wonderful. I was at the event 2 years ago, and it was a great evening. There was a lot of good music and a little chilly, but you know, it's March, right? So anything to add, Paula, as far as the closure? I mean, this is the same closure that you've requested the last 2 years.
Yes.
The times are pretty much the same.
Almost exactly. Yep.
Chief and Chief, I don't believe there's any concerns with the road closure. Okay. And you know to call dispatch when you close it and open it? Yep.
We'll sweep it was the funniest conversation I had with my employees last year, which at the end of the event, when they say, okay, well, what do we got to do next? And I go grab 6 brooms, and I go, we got to sweep the street. And they all look at me and they go, that's a thing? I'm like, it is today. So, yeah, so we'll clean up after ourselves. We'll put it back the way we found it. And we just appreciate you guys letting us do this. I think it's good for Warsaw to get people involved and doing external events. Trash cans and recycling. This year, each vendor is going to be responsible for bringing their own trash cans, as well as we're going to partner with the Recycle Depot to have recycle bins downtown as well.
So then, where will they go?
They will all go into my lovely recycling bin and trash bin in the back alley.
Will that work?
It does work because I called for a pickup the morning after.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that then.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, questions?
No, I move to approve.
I'd second that. My only comment is I hope the weather cooperates, Jason. I appreciate
Yeah.
you taking the lead and, again, providing a good time downtown for our community. So, appreciate it. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Human Resources, Jennifer, you've got a fee schedule from MedStat that you're presenting.
Yes. I was looking at the other agenda. I thought Street was going there. Yes, we signed an agreement with MedStat, and in that agreement, it says that they have the opportunity or the right to increase the schedule fees, and that's what you have in front of you. Just need for you to accept that, please.
So this is obviously for 2019.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And you utilized MedStat for,
Occupational health.
Okay.
Drug testing, pre-employment, accident, work comp, they're the keeper of our records. We do our CDL physicals, DOT compliance with them.
all right? Questions?
No, I move to accept the request.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right. You've got a new hire report,
Yes,
few replacements, and a part-time firefighter.
correct. You're right.
Yeah,
We are in
that
the
was-
process of replacing the park department employee in the cemetery. Actually, somebody from the cemetery is going to be making a move to the park department, but just not ready to release, just waiting on
Sure.
drug tests.
And then the part-time firefighter is part of our roster
You-
of part-time firefighters that are helping us build towards not having to hire a full-time firefighter, but utilizing part-time to take those shifts.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
All right, any questions?
No, I move to accept the report.
All right, is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I suppose I seconded
Yeah,
it,
you second that, yeah.
and I voted on it, so we're all good. All right, and then you've got travel requests.
We do, we have fire, you.
Yep, I'm traveling to Indianapolis to a legislative dinner with Accelerated Indiana Municipalities.
Street department, looks like Rogers Harbor's going,
For certification.
Correct.
MS4 annual meeting.
Brian has some.
What did I miss, guys?
Brian, wastewater, did you say stormwater?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I move to accept all as presented.
Yep. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. And then I'll have Stacy come up and talk about our agreement with Bit Computers for our infrastructure upgrade, our network.
This is a proposal from BIT Computers for Phase 2 of our server project. This will be the final phase of our server project at this time. Right now, we are in Phase 1, and that is adding street department, wastewater, police department, and who did I miss? City Hall onto the server network. So Phase 2 would be to connect Fire Station 1, Fire Station 2, the aviation terminal, cemetery office, parks office, and Pete Thorne Center to this network. The costs are all broken down by department there. Fire and parks are higher because they have 2 locations. Parks is a little bit less than fire because one of the parks locations will be by VPN, a virtual connection, instead of a direct connection through the fiber network. That is because Pete Thorne is a seasonal office. We didn't feel like the costs justified paying for the fiber connection to that office when they have a small staff that's only working seasonally out of that office. Right now, we're on track for Phase 1 to wrap up by the end of the month, and this will help us to seamlessly move into Phase 2 to get this project done this year, and it was budgeted for by the departments for this year.
Questions?
No, I move to accept.
I will second that, and I appreciate the work, Stacy, and the work she's done with our vendor on this. This has been ongoing project, and we're just thrilled that the advancement in technology is going to open up many opportunities for us with this greater speed and ability to move large files. And we're just kind of dotting all the i's and crossing the t's now. And you expect this will be fully functional by,
All of these departments, probably late summer to have all the kinks worked out of it. The first 4 locations that are part of phase 1, we're hoping by the end of the month. So the GIS servers have been moved over now. They'll be moving the street and wastewater servers over within the next week or 2, and City Hall will be last. But everything is moving over seamlessly now. Everything's going smoothly, so there should be some really fast progress, and then he'll be ready to move into phase 2.
all right?
Phase 2 will be a much more simple phase. We have all of the equipment in place, so it's a matter of just connecting those departments into the server network.
Right.
We don't have to build the server infrastructure itself for this phase.
Well, I appreciate the update, because again, this is, we've made quite an investment in this, and I feel very confident that it's going to pay back in spades. I really do. So it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. The baby box, we are going to have to table this, and I'll tell you why. There's some, in the baby box, they list the $10,000 amount that is a contractual amount with the city. And that has already been paid by various donors, not just one group, but a lot of wonderful donors who stepped up, and they've actually already paid Safe Haven Baby Box even before we've approved this contract. City attorney and I feel like we are not involved in the cost of the baby box, so we're going to have to take that out of the contract. And we will, because it's already paid for. It's just a matter, it's just something that we really have to do, because we can't have a contract that shows that we owe $10,000 when we don't, when it's already been paid. And this is probably the easiest way to take care of it. We will have, and essentially I've already got an agreement from North Central Indiana Right to Life that they're going to pay the $200 a month, or excuse me, a year for maintenance, and we'll have an MOU with them. And that part of the contract will stay the same. It's just we need to work back with Safe Haven to rewrite that small section of the contract that says we owe $10,000. We don't, because it's already been paid, and we don't want to be contractually liable for that. So it's just it's a kind of cleaning up the language, and I was hoping we'd get it done today. We're still very confident that there's no reason this will not happen. You know, the council's approved, obviously, and the Board of Works, I think, wants to approve it, but we don't want to approve a contract that isn't accurate, to be honest with you. So it's just more technicality in the contract. So I'd ask for a motion to table.
Table is the action that we want, table this?
Yeah, because we'll bring it up at the
Okay.
next meeting.
All right, I move the table.
And I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. All right. I skipped item number 6. That is the council contract with Rab Water. Rab provides cooler rental, and our gallon, and our bottled water. What did I say wrong, Whitney? Come up and help me.
So the contract that you have is to just add another cooler for the council chambers. Since all of the board meetings are now being held in the council chambers, we just figured this is a more efficient way to provide water than buying the 24-pack waters. So it's just added. City Hall is on a rotation Monday to deliver all of our water. So this is just to initiate this cooler placement and then the water after that.
All right, very good.
So before we move on with that,
Right.
I know the board members are aware that the additional Board of Works member, Mr. Clemens, is a president at Rab Water. He's made that disclosure in his uniform conflict disclosure form. He's not participating in this vote, but just so it's on the record and then in the minutes that you were aware as the council people and you approved that you know of his involvement with Rab Water and that he's disclosed that.
And his written conflict of interest discloses his position at Rab Water.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we've dealt with this before, and I know the different departments, and Again, I'm guessing that it is cheaper than what we're currently doing. It's just part of,
It is.
yeah, that's
yes.
what I thought. I appreciate you guys looking that direction and helping out, because I do know this is now a far more active place with a variety of stakeholders. So I'll move to approve this contract.
I will second that. Any further discussion? I do appreciate City Attorney bringing up that conflict of interest information for everyone to know. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. All right, we've got some contracts with the Parks Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My contracts on here kind of got, I don't know, skewed in the list. So I've got 2 for concerts and then I've got 2 for other programs. So I don't know if we want to put the 2
Let's
concerts
just go
together.
individual. Let's just go individual. There aren't that
Okay.
many.
Okay, so the first one on your list is for Michelle Productions. This is for the country headliner that will be July 19th. Contract is for $27,500. We have used Rich Michelle with Michelle Productions for the past 3 years. This will be the 4th year. He's done a great job helping us find the acts, and then he stays on site all day, and he's there to help us get through that transaction with the artist.
Can you talk a little bit about our partnerships with donors and obviously when potentially the name might be released?
Sure. So we have a couple different kinds of partnerships going on here. The appropriation, as far as the way this is paid, $20,000 comes out of the budgeted monies, and then $7,500 comes out of donations from businesses. So that's one kind of partnership that we have going on. We have a partnership with Lake City Media, or Kensington, I'm sorry, it's Kensington now, that they have rights to reveal the artist first. We've set that date for April 1st this year. And in return, they give us live remotes the day of the show. They give us all free advertising leading up to the show. And that's a substantial savings
Sure.
for us in advertising.
We did a contract with them, correct?
We do.
That spells all those
It does.
responsibilities and
Yeah, I
rolls
went
out.
through in January, I believe.
Yep, yep. All right,
Yes.
just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that, so.
Yep.
Questions?
No, I move to approve.
Okay, I would second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And thanks for your work on that. I know this is a big one, and it'll be a fun day.
Yep.
July 19th.
The second contract that you have in front of you is for Party Lane. They are out of the LaPorte area, and they provide princess characters for our Princess Tea Party that is on May 4th. They come for an hour, and they read a book to the kids, and they have little fun activities that they do with the kids, and it was a great hit last year. Last year was the first year that we had done this program.
I'm sorry, what was the date again?
The date on that one is May 4th.
I move to approve.
I'll second that. I see that it involves Belle and Ariel, so that will be a
Yes.
very popular attraction, I'm sure. All right, I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, and then you've got your rock concert
Yeah, now we're
headliner.
going back to concerts.
Yep.
This is Michelle Productions again, and this is for the rock concert, which will be June 14th. Again, we have the same kinds of partnerships for this concert, and the same kind of a split in the payment. And again, the announcement will be made on April 1st for this one also, with the radio station.
All right.
One thing I would like to add about the rock concert, this is our 25th year. So we're kind of trying to make a big deal out of that. We haven't really started yet, but plan to make a big deal out of that.
Good.
I move to approve.
I'll second. You're not going to give us a hint?
Nope, no hints.
I knew you wouldn't.
Is the cost the same for the country concert as the rock concert?
I'm sorry.
Is the cost the same?
It is not. Cost for the rock concert is $42,500.
Thank you.
22.5 from our budget and 20,000 out of the donation account.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Plus all of the contractual promotion from,
You have backline, stagehands. Yeah. Some hospitality items.
all right. And finally, superhero training camp?
Yeah, so now we're back to Party Lane again, and kind of the same kind of a situation, but they provide 2 superheroes for our superhero training camp on July 22nd. Instead of princesses for Princess Tea Party, then we have the superheroes.
All right, any questions?
No, I move to approve.
All right, I'll second that. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
very much. April 1st, the big announcement, right?
That's right.
All right,
You have a time?
I do not yet. It's generally between 7 and 7:30.
all right. Jeremy, Airport Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer Project Award?
So we awarded the project, we bid the project. What you have before you now, it's just issuing a notice to proceed that we'll send to the contractor, letting them know that they're good to start work at any point. Right now, they're scheduled to start around March 12th, and we'll have bi-weekly construction meetings to hopefully keep everybody informed with where they're at and how work is progressing.
All right. Questions?
I move to approve the request.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Jeremy, I know you're working with everybody out there. Again, it's another project. It'll probably impact transportation out there. You've obviously kept in touch with all the employers out there, and they understand this is going to be a project that's going to take a little while. And
Yeah, so HRP, which is the contractor, they'll be sending out letters to all the businesses, giving their contact information. As we go through the project, as we go through the phasing and as they're moving along, we'll try to reach out to each individual property owner at that point in time to talk to them when it's going to be kind of their turn to be somewhat disrupted. But in terms of the actual project itself, like I said, we'll have bi-weekly construction meetings. And if necessary, we'll invite those individuals to those meetings if they have any concerns about their shipping, deliveries, employees coming and going. The road will be closed in those sections. Outside of the individual business owners will always have access to their property throughout the project. So for people that are going to work there or it's their business and place of employment, they will always have access through there, but through traffic, i.e. people that are not just driving through there but have no reason to be there, it will be closed to them. So much like what we did with Husky Trail. But instead of residents, it'll be businesses. They will have access throughout the project. It'll just be somewhat contentious at time with the construction. And we'll work with them throughout. Most of the time, it'll be half a driveway or half an entrance as they're doing, because bulk of this is laying pipe in the ground. Those are, if they don't have multiple entrances, then we'll put a temporary entrance in, whatever we need to do to make sure they have access at all times.
And I know that, that was the real impetus behind this annexation was that those industries and business owners that want to grow and develop that industrial park knew they couldn't do it without sewer. And, this is really the crowning achievement for that annexation, the hard work you put into it, the somewhat onerous requirements that the state puts on us when we do involuntary annexations. But I know that those, all those partners out there are very excited to get this sewer and project out in their area. This is really a big deal, and it's again, underground and not real flashy, but it took a ton of time and energy. It's obviously, the funds have been worked out through TIF, and this is an economic development project that is really going to improve the viability of that airport industrial park. I don't think there's any question about that. And, I publicly want to thank you for all the work you've done, because it's been a long time coming, and to hear the fact that they're going to start the sewer here real soon is like, it finally is happening.
Yeah, I mean, we first started talking about this in 2005, and it took us that amount of time to put the funding mechanism together to do this. So it's beneficial to the city and to the industries that are out there. And the biggest thing for me is dealing with the property owners. It was an involuntary annexation, but it was involuntary mostly because of what it benefited them to do it that way versus a voluntary annexation. So the bulk of them, almost 95% of them, wanted to be annexed in. They desperately need the sanitary sewer for their existing businesses and expansions, and I'm excited to see what happens over the next couple of years, because I know a number of them have already talked to me about what they need to do, about what they plan to do. So as we put this pipe in the ground, I think we're going to see a lot of growth.
You know, there's expansion plans on those businesses already that you've heard of and we've been made aware of. And I do want to clarify something you said. You know, I mentioned that it was an involuntary annexation. We had to do it that way to offer property tax abatement to those property owners out there. That was the reason for going the involuntary route. The state legislature gave us no option. If we wanted to incentivize them with abatement, we had to do it the involuntary route. And that was the long route. That was the 6 public meetings. And I attended the majority of those meetings, and there were different people at each meeting. I think there was good conversation. And in the end, I don't think there may have been one remonstrator.
I think there was
but by
2.
and large, everybody wanted it, everybody bought into it. So, as an involuntary annexation, it was voluntary, but needed to be involuntary because of the property tax abatement that was a part of it. So thank you for clarifying that. As long as I got you at the mic, as long as we're talking about disruption in road traffic, and we'll hear a little bit about this Monday night, but Market Street is scheduled to start quickly. We're actually, and I'll let you talk about the public meeting we're going to have next Thursday night right here at 5:30. But that's something else that's 'tis the season, construction is starting. Could you address that just a little bit?
Yeah, so they're pretty much on the same time frame that this industrial park project is on. I think they're starting March 11th is what they're projecting to start construction on Market Street. So it's going to be going on at the same time, same situation. There will be road closures through those segments as they're doing work. Everyone that lives along Market Street will have access at all times, but the through traffic will be cut off. So there will be a lot of closures in each individual section as they construct Market Street for through traffic, but the residents themselves will have access to their homes at all times. That meeting Thursday, we'll go over some of those timeframes. We're meeting the 6th, the day before. It's our first pre-construction meeting to kind of talk with the contractor and what their first phases are, and hopefully we'll have a pretty good idea for Thursday night's discussion on how they're going to proceed come early March.
Street Department will be here talking about trash pickup during that project, as well as safety and emergency access to that area. So primarily, we'll talk a little timeline and discuss the project, but it'll be mostly to answer residents and business questions of those folks that'll be impacted by the Market Street, which will run from Bronson to Hickory Street. And hopefully will be done by the
I think
November.
their end of October is beginning November is kind of the substantial complete. I think the project wrap-up might be sometime mid-November, but it's an NDOT contract, so all that flows through NDOT. NDOT pays them out, we don't pay them out, so you won't have bills coming. We've already paid NDOT our 20% match, and they will pay the contractor. The only thing you'll see as a Board of Works will be change orders, which we had a couple already, and I'm sure there'll be more as we go through, because this is an existing urban environment. This is not new construction, so there's a lot of underground problems that we may not be aware of yet, but we're prepared to deal with them as they come along.
Right, and again, just for your distinction, this is a federal road project. This isn't a local road project. This is an 80/20 project that we applied for 4 years ago.
2012, I believe.
2012, more than 4 years ago. Unfortunately, with all the engineering and being beholding to federal funds, we do have to follow all of their rules and regulations. And here we are finally getting it done in 2019. So that's the way the federal road projects work. They're a little slow, but it will be a very seamless extension of the Phase 1, which was from Argonne to Bronson. Again, Jeremy, you do all the hard work on these projects, leveraging our local funds to get some great things done in the community. Market Street was the focus of our stellar application, and we've seen the improvements that have occurred along Market Street with Phase 1. I've already seen improvements with knowing that Phase 2 is coming. It's a transformative project for our neighborhood and for Market Street. And I'm, again, thankful for all the work you've done. These things just don't happen. And just want everybody to know how hard Jeremy and his team have worked, city engineer, street department, everybody. So, council, I mean, it's a big deal, so, thanks. I kind of got off script here, but I think it was important, you know, to make sure folks know that we do have a public meeting here to discuss that. And we've done those in the past with Husky Trail and worked out very well. So, thank you. All right, stormwater. Yes, sir.
The airport industrial park, we did get a vote on that?
Yes.
You
Yep.
did get that?
Yep.
We're okay there, okay, good. Thank you.
Brian,
Yes.
You're up,
This
buddy.
is the contract to put some graphics on the street sweeper. I believe this will be the third year we've done this. Is that right, Rick? Third or fourth year that we've done this. Every year, the Lilly Center for Lakes and Streams does an art contest with area schools, and they pick 12 and produce a calendar from that, and then they pick 2 of those, and the best 2 of those, and we put them on the street sweeper for a year, so everybody gets to see them driving around. And it helps with their education and outreach requirement, and it helps promote these kids' artwork a little bit also, so asking for approval of that contract.
Move to approve?
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Got a change order on the lining project?
Now, this is for the large diameter contract with Lane. Basically, we had asked them to stop work through the winter because asphalt plants are closed and the remaining work has some spot repairs that need to be accomplished under the road, so we didn't want the roads not being able to be patched properly for the winter. So we just asked them to stop work until the asphalt plants reopen. We're extending this contract. Basically, it lines up with their small diameter substantial at the end of May and final at the end of June for all the lining work on the small and large diameter.
All right,
This is $0. We're just requesting more days.
extension.
I move to approve.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Next item is another amendment to the sewer rehab project.
Yeah, this is for Whistler, and she did a pretty good job of outlining it in the letter. Their original contract for construction phase work was prior to us adding 20% to each of the contracts and then adding a whole 4th contract where we did the second small diameter package. So they just have ran out of time.
And that was because we saved in the unit price when it went out to bid.
Yeah.
We were able to do more, but that required more engineering.
Right, the bid prices came in very good, and so we were able to add to each project and get the most out of that SRF loan that we obtained. And so this just covers the extra time that they've put into that 4th project and the additional 20% on all the other contracts.
Brian, roughly, what was the total amount of pipe impacted? How many, 90,000?
Seems like it was around that 90,000 lineal feet.
James, do you remember?
The original was around 72 to 75,000, and then we added 20% to all of them, and we added a whole 4th package. So I think we ended in that 90.
So we took full advantage of the SRF loan, the rate that I think we saved $3.5 million on, and utilized probably every nickel of that to stretch as much as we could because of the low unit price that came from the contract. And it was a great advantage that we were able to do more than we
Oh,
originally had
absolutely.
planned. So this $80,000,
Yeah.
again, just represents the extra engineering that went along with that. All right, questions?
No, I move to approve.
All right, I will second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Jeff, I want you to come up for just a minute and talk about West Center Street repaving that is partly from a lot of these projects that have gone along. I know that we've been tearing the roads up and they're really patchy in spots, and, you know, obviously with the sewer project, that's something that can't be helped with the revenues that we've got on our road maintenance. I know you're planning to help us with that West Center Street improvement. I know there's other problems on West Center Street, but there's some areas there that have been torn up that we want to smooth out.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Sure.
Construction began on Monday at the new plant. Thanks to Stacy, we were able to get a link to that camera. You can go on there, you can see time-lapse video from before they moved any dirt to the current status. There's current pictures as to what it looks like right now, so.
And that's on city
It's
website?
right on the homepage of the city website. so.
Wonderful. All right. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Just a general discussion of trying to clean up. You know, there's a lot of patchwork from all the projects that have been done, and I know you guys you've done some work to try and smooth that out, but you're also doing some work to resurface some of that.
West Center Street has been an evolving project since the beginning. It started out with some sewer work, and then at that time, American Water decided to upgrade their infrastructure. And that's what's been going on pretty much all winter, and still has a little bit more to go here this spring, mainly with cleanup. And as soon as they are finished, we're working with James on putting contract documents together to be able to go through there and resurface West Center from Columbia to Market. It'll all be redone. Catch basins and structures were done by the street department early last year to help with stormwater drainage. So everything's ready to go as soon as American Water puts their finishing touches on stuff, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I appreciate your response to that, because, again, there's a lot of patchwork on the asphalt, and, you know, if we owned every utility known to man, we could try and plan these things, but, you know, there's gas and electric utilities, there's water utilities that we don't own, and they need to get their work done too, don't get me wrong. Even the county on the bridge work out on Husky Trail, you know, that's gotta happen. NDOT's coming in this summer, and they're gonna do some work. So we don't have control over all the projects that are done in the community. If we did, we'd try and plan them so that we wouldn't put asphalt down and then tear it up. But you're stuck with what's left as far as trying to clean up after all that's been done. And I know that's a tough job, and I appreciated you getting that on your list this year, is to get that done. And I know there's other areas as well. East Fort Wayne Street.
East Fort Wayne between Lake Street and 15 is looking at being resurfaced this year, as long as no major failures are found to be underneath that road. We think
Yeah.
it's all good. And Provident Drive, which was scheduled to have been paved last year, due to winter starting early November, or even October, that got delayed until this year. That'll be going out to bid again as well. So hopefully there'll be quite a few larger projects starting first in the spring to get covered up from what was not able to be completed due to weather in the fall last year.
Okay. All right, I didn't mean to get off on that again, but I think as that ties into our sewer project and everything that gets torn up, it's important to know that we're certainly aware of that and trying to address that, so, thank you. All right, we've got a special claim here. It's for a not-to-exceed amount on the gas station purchased by the redevelopment commission, total of $160,000. I think you remember the amount was $152,500, and then there's some closing costs in there, I assume, not knowing the exact amount yet. The closing is going to happen, I believe, next week. Is that correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, so we close on the property next Thursday. Right now, they did give me a closing cost estimate. It's $152,783.50, but I don't want to have to delay this 2 weeks, so we did a not-to-exceed amount. It's not going to be anywhere close to $160,000, but just to be on the safe side, that's why we did a not-to-exceed amount. We'll get the final closing cost sometime early next week, once they have all the documentation from JPJ and us. We'll get that final closing amount. We'll do the wire transfer prior to Thursday's closing.
All right. Questions?
No. I move to approve the special claim.
All right, I'll second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Claims docket, approval. There's 9 pages,
Yeah.
and I looked through it, I didn't see any, I don't have any concerns. Again, these are just appropriated claims that are now being paid.
Move to accept.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Any other items to be carried forward? Chief, could you come up and talk a little bit about, I'm really putting everybody on the spot today. The EPA contractors are in town today, removing from the Arnold property some of the contaminated materials. This, as you know, began 6 weeks ago, I believe, with a contained spill. EPA responded in an admirable fashion by actually sending their contractors. So they paid for this cleanup and removal, and they have done all of their testing. From what I understand, the PCB levels were low enough that they weren't of major concern. The storage of those, or the disposal of those materials can now proceed, and that's essentially what they're in town for today. I know have you talked to Andrew yet today?
Yes, I was on site this morning after meeting with you, met with Andrew from EPA and Andrew from the recovery company. Jeff was very gracious. We had a large piece of equipment we needed to get inside the building, and Jeff sent a dump truck load of dirt out, and we took a portion of a door opening down. They're in there today removing the last part of the transformer and capacitors that they found. They did update us on the asbestos. There is some asbestos in windowsill caulking that they're watching. They will be back in probably about 30 days to reassess that with another contractor. They are working diligently with our office and with your office in reference to Coast Guard funding payback on some expenses that we've incurred. They will work, the Chicago office of EPA is doing a really good job at working with us on that paperwork. Chief Whitaker was very gracious to give us a location to store some of the items that came out of there until they were oppressed. Chief, they're going to be removing some of that today. Your transformers will be leaving the community. All in all, it was something that was potentially going to be a huge hazard that was caught very quickly by the police department. And then our guys were able to get in there and sustain the issue. But the government officials have been very, very effective working with us.
Right, and this all happened during the shutdown, and I didn't expect them to respond, and not only did they respond, but they brought their contractors along, and you know, we reported the incident to IDEM and EPA as directed by our IDEM local rep, and they just took the ball from there as a reported incident. You know, that was a property the city did not own. There was no money to do anything. I think EPA understood the gravity of the situation with the lake down the hill, and he was literally here within 24 hours, and their contractor was on site probably within 36 hours.
That's correct.
So, you know, nobody likes to say we're fortunate when we have an incident like that, but the response was, you couldn't ask for better response. Of course, getting it paid for is a good thing too. But moving forward, we are looking at brownfield grants to potentially take that building down, and the long-term goal is to develop that property and put it back on the tax rolls. These environmental issues are very difficult for communities to deal with, and you know, the emergency cleanup just handles those acute concerns, and that's all EPA will deal with. They will not tell us that they're going to go ahead and tear the place down and get rid of some of the other things that are in there. So it's our responsibility to continue to move ahead to try and find some money available to take care of that. Also being very mindful that of all the environmental issues that are on that site. So it's a tricky situation, but again, I think we've gotten some clarity on our direction. We've gotten those costs and expertise from Environmental Protection Agency pointing us in the right direction. MACOG, our local metropolitan planning organization, is actually in the process of applying for brownfield assessment grants that will help us maybe eventually tear that building down. So we're moving in that direction.
For the community's interest, we did spend some money that's going to come back to us out of that Coast Guard. So we have secured it. Today, even with the section that's coming out, we will re-secure that structure. Law enforcement's being very diligent at looking at everything daily to make sure that nobody's getting into it. We're concerned about safety of our community, so we are going to keep an eye on it, make sure it stays boarded and secure.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chief. Yes, sir.
Who owns the property?
Well, it's in a receivership. I think that's a, you handle that one.
So, many years ago, the property was placed into a receivership, so the owners are still the previous corporation, but it's in receivership, and that's where it's at. So Jim Walmer's currently the receiver who's in charge of trying to make payments that are due for things from corporation and
Taxes.
taxes, those kind of things, but
But to be in receivership doesn't mean you own it.
well, what it means is that creditors ask the court to intervene to try to protect assets of the corporation so that they could be properly paid to those creditors. The court did intervene and appointed a receiver, and it's lasted for many years to try to get creditors paid out of assets of the corporation.
The reason I ask is that somebody from the Arnold family reached out to us and complained that we refer to it as the Arnold property, and they say they are no longer involved.
Well, I would just say that's the name on the side of the building, and that's what the public identifies that site with. So I don't know what else I'd call it.
And you can check on Beacon, on the GIS, I think it still shows probably in the recorder's office as Arnold Corp. Property, but it is in receivership. And I can't say that for certain, but I think that's likely what the recorder's office shows it to be.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Donuts? All right,
I move to adjourn.
I'll second. Thank you.